Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name's Hannah, and today we're going to be discussing my 25 books to read in 2025. If you're new to BookTube, you've maybe never heard of ATBR or what 25 in 2025 means and things like that. So let's go through it together. So basically, if you're not familiar with what a TBR is, it's basically a backlist of books, a collection of books that a reader will put together and will challenge themselves to read in a certain amount of time. And this is basically a year-long one, and it's basically a trend every year where people set themselves like a number of books to read in the year that corresponds to the year that we're in. So basically this year is 25 books to read in 2025, and last year was 24 books to read in 2024, if you get what I mean. This is kind of like a year-long version of what people do every month. Basically they will do the same every month, and they'll be like, okay, I want to read this many books in January, and these are the books that I'm going to set myself for January. And like, you know, there's just so many different ways that TBRs work here on BookTube. Like, it's amazing how creative people have gotten with their TBR videos. It's amazing. But I wanted to do this particular one because I just love setting myself a TBR. It kind of feels like going to the bookshop again because I get to look for my collection, set myself some challenges. It feels great. So I've set myself 25 books that by the end of 2025 I have to have read. And you know, you're probably thinking, well, what happens if you don't? So basically what I'm gonna do is that I'm actually gonna steal this idea from Gavin Reads It All, where if I don't complete these books, I have to do it in January 2026, and it's going to be like a vlog and things. Gavin Reads It All is one of my favorite booktubers ever, and you should definitely check out his videos. Like, one of the big personalities here on BookTube. You probably have heard of him if you've been on BookTube or any bookish side of the internet at all. But yeah, because usually the idea is if you don't read it before the end of the year, you unhaul it. But I'm gonna do a similar idea to Gavin, and it will be a penalty, and I have to read all of them in January 2026. So that's the idea. Anyway, with all that being said, let's get into the video. I've put these all into kind of like subcategories, so I'm just gonna go through each category, the first being historical. So let's look at the historical books. Okay, so here is my little historical stack. So let's have a look at it together. So the first historical book on top of the pile is Wolf Hall by Hilary Mantel. This is basically the story of Thomas Cromwell, who I believe was like one of the closest associates of King Henry VIII. And he has close ties to the downfall of Anne Boleyn and things like that. So I'm really excited, and as you can see on the little corner, it's got a BBC adaptation, and oh, it looks amazing. And it's a chunky one, but I'm really excited to get to it. So definitely want to get to this one at some point in 2025. Then we have The Nightingale, and honestly I've just put this on my 25 to read in 2025 just for the sole purpose of the fact that I feel so much FOMO having not read this book yet, because so many people rant and rave about it, and I'm like, how can I call myself a fan of historical fiction if I haven't read The Nightingale? Because this is the historical fiction, I feel. So I don't know about too much about this. I feel like it's a story set in World War II. Judging from the cover, perhaps we're in France, and I do know that it's a story about sisters, and yeah, I don't know too much else other than that. I like going into my books relatively blind, and yeah, I feel like this is going to be a heart-wrenching one because historical fiction is known for its heartbreak. So yeah, this is going to be a good one, so I'm excited to get to this. And then we have A Woman of War, which is another World War II book. I picked this one up at a charity shop. I've had it since I was a teenager. Like, it's been years, hence why I put it on my 25 to read in 2025, because if I don't read it this year and I don't get to it in January 2026, then I am going to unhaul this one, unfortunately, because it has just been sitting there that long. I think I was maybe like 13, 14 when I picked this up, and I am now 22. Okay, let that sink in. So yeah, it's been a really long time coming, and I feel like I just need to get to this one. Also, ignore the fact that it's got sticker residue. I need to fix that. Kind of on a similar vein, like in terms of the reason that I put it on my 25 to read in 2025, The Body on the Doorstep by A.G. Mackenzie. This is basically, I got it from a charity shop years ago. I tried reading it when I was a teenager. I don't know why I didn't continue, or why I read a little bit and then put it down, forgot about it. And that's not necessarily a reflection on how good the book is. It's maybe just a reflection of my attention span at the time, because I was a teenager. It's been on my TBR for a similar amount of time as A Woman of War. And yeah, so I need to get to this. If you don't know what this is about, this is basically, I think, a murder mystery in the 18th century. I feel like it's set in Kent, 1796. Shocked to discover a dying man on his doorstep and lucky to avoid a bullet himself, Reverend Hardcastle finds himself entrusted with the victim's cryptic last words. With smuggling rife on England's southeast coast, and obvious conclusion is that this was a falling out among thieves. But why is the leader of the local customs service so reluctant to investigate? Ably assisted by the ingenious Mr. Carter Hardcastle, sets out to solve the mystery for himself, but smugglers are not the only ones to lurk off the Kent coast. And the more he discovers, the more he realizes is a stake. So it sounds really interesting, and I feel like I'm gonna eat this up now. So I honestly don't know why I wasn't interested when I say that I wasn't interested when I was a teenager. I just probably just forgot and had a very bad attention span and moved on to another book by the time I was like, okay, I need to pick it up again. So yeah, as I said, another similar vein. It's been on here for so long that, like, okay, if I don't read it this year and I don't read it in January 2026 as part of the penalty, then it's time to give up the ghost. I need to unhaul this. Like, I just have to admit that me and this book were just not meant to be. So yes. Then we have Girl with a Pearl Earring, a novel by Tracy Chevalier. I really want to read this so badly. It is, like, again, one of the big historical fictions that I feel like I'm getting FOMO having not read. I'm so excited about it. I know nothing apart from that we're in the 17th century and things like that, so I'm just really excited. So I am going into this blind. And yeah, I'm really excited. I was away to go and quickly read the synopsis, but the synopsis on the back is literally just like reviews. I don't know when books started doing that, putting reviews rather than synopsis on the back, but hey ho. And the last historical is Hamlet by Maggie O'Farrell. This is basically the story of Shakespeare's family, and I don't know too much apart from that one of Shakespeare's children dies. It's about his wife and his children. Shakespeare is never mentioned by name, and he's very absent in the story. And I feel like this is very, very, very going to be very interesting. I love Shakespeare. I've read quite a few Shakespeare plays in my time, and I adore it. And I feel like this is going to be a good one, but I'm probably going to need tissues for this. I feel like that's going to be a common theme with these historicals, is that I'm going to need tissues. So yeah, I'm really excited for this one. The second subsection of this little TBR is classics. This is probably the largest subsection because it's got 7 instead of 6. I tried to be as equal as possible, but classics still managed to sneak in that extra one little book compared to the others, but let's just have a look and see what we've got in here. So this is actually on my TBR, and this is the book I am currently reading. Like, I just finished a book like last night, and this is the one I'm going to be picking up today and starting today, so I'm really excited about that. But that is A Study in Scarlet and the Sign of Four by Arthur Conan Doyle. I feel like if you're not familiar with Sherlock Holmes, where have you been? He's one of the most famous detectives in Western pop culture and things like that. Like you have to know who Sherlock Holmes is. Like, yeah, I can't wait. I was obsessed with the BBC show as a teenager, and oh, I just can't wait. I can't wait to dive in. This Study in Scarlet will be a reread for me because I read The Study in Scarlet in my first year of uni. But The Sign of Four is going to be completely new, and everything from then on is going to be completely new. So I'm excited. And then we have The Life of Pi. I have seen the film for The Life of Pi, or sorry, Life of Pi. Sorry, I don't know why I'm saying the. Please, like, yeah, there's no the. Sorry. All I know about this is that there's a tiger, there's a boat, and there is a very young boy, and there's a struggle for survival. That's all I know. And I've also seen this come up quite a few times on game show questions, so might come in useful one day. For my general knowledge. But yeah, I'm really excited to see what this has to offer. I'm very excited to dive in. It is also a must read for me because it is on the Rory Gilmore reading challenge, which is always a plus. I need to get some more points on that the next time I take it. So yes, this is going to be read at some point. I feel like this is going to be a spring or summer read just by the vibes, but I don't know. And then we have The Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka. I'm so excited about The Metamorphosis. If you don't know who Franz Kafka is, I believe he was from Prague, and he's like early 20th century. That's when he was alive and writing, and I do believe that majority of his works weren't actually published in his lifetime, and he actually requested that they don't get published. But a friend of his went against Kafka's wishes and published them anyway, hence why we know who Kafka is, and he's so regarded in like the literary canon as he is today. I'm so excited about this. I feel like I'm gonna finally understand the hype behind Kafka. This is gonna be my first Kafka, and I have a funny feeling that after I read this, it's just gonna be like, I need all the Kafka I can possibly get my hands on. I'm really excited about this, and I feel like there's so many like amazing authors, especially within the classics world, that I haven't read before, and I need to. And then we have Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. You probably know what Jane Eyre is about, but think, misty Yorkshire moors, and think like early Victorian society, think that kind of vibe. I don't actually know too much. All I know is that the Bronte sisters are very, very gothic and dark, and I'm so excited. I feel like I'm either gonna have to read this next month or wait until September, and then I could read it any month after that, but yeah, it's either gonna have to be next month or I'm gonna have to wait like half a year to read it, which is gonna be so sad, but I'm so excited because I need the right atmosphere, I need the correct spooky kind of like gothic-y atmosphere, and it needs to be autumn or winter to give that feel. And then we have the Iliad. This is basically a bunch of like poetry and things like that collected by Homer, who wrote the story of the Trojan War, and also the Odyssey. The Odyssey touches on the Trojan War as well, by the way. But I'm a fan of Percy Jackson. I'm a fan of Epic the Musical, but I feel like to really say that I know Greek mythology, I need to start reading some actual source material rather than, what Greek mythology has become in pop culture today. So I'm really excited. And then we have 1984. This is the dystopian. Like, I've only heard good things about it, and I remember being like 17 and my English teacher at school saying that this was her favorite ever book, and if an English teacher says that this is a favorite book of theirs, you've got to read it at some point. Yeah, it just, I can't wait. I cannot wait. And then the final classic on the list is Crime and Punishment. I know there's murder. I know it's gonna take a while to get into it because that is apparently just Dostoevsky's bread and butter, is a slow start but really hooking you in. And I've read White Nights and I just really gelled with the translation and things like that, so I'm hoping that the translation is going to be just as beautiful and just as I hope I'm going to love this. And yeah, I feel like I'm going to officially get the hype of Dostoevsky. Okay, we're halfway there, folks. So now we have the sci-fi and fantasy section. Sci-fi and fantasy used to be my bread and butter as a reader when I was a teenager. That was my genre. That was my everything. And it still is. I do love a good fantasy, don't get me wrong, but I feel like I've just branched out further and I'm reading a lot more diversely. But I still want to enjoy some good old fantasy and sci-fi, go back to my reading roots, and let's have a look and see what we've got, shall we? So Tomi Adeyemi, Children of Blood and Bone. I don't know exactly what this is about, but all it says on the back is, they killed my mother, they took our magic, and they tried to bury us. Now we rise. So I have an amazing feeling about this. It has taken me so long to get to this, and it's been on my shelf again since I was a teenager, just because I've had so many series on the go, and I've just been really focusing on trying to either finish series or only allowing myself until I finish those series to pick up standalones. But at some point this year I'm getting to this because, again, it is criminal how long this has been on my shelf, so it needs to be done. And then we have Pandora, by Susan Stokes Chapman. This is, you know what, I'm just going to put these here, sorry. There we go. Pandora by Susan Stokes Chapman. This, I believe, is a 18th century story connected to Greek mythology. And I believe this is about a young woman or girl whose uncle owns a kind of antique store, or her parents owned an antique store and they've passed away and her uncle's trying to take over or something. But there's some sort of connection to the Greek myth of Pandora's box, and things like that. So I'm really intrigued to see what this is about. Also, how beautiful. Yeah, this is going to be my bread and butter. It was a Christmas present for me last year, so it has officially been on my shelf for over a year, and I feel like I just need to get to it. So yeah, I'm really excited about this one. And then we have Crier's War, another one that's been on my shelf since I was a teenager. I love when, sapphic sci-fi and fantasy ends up in my hands, because I always just eat it up. It's always amazing. So this is Crier's War. I'm not too sure what it's about, but it says, after the War of Kinds and the Ottoman, designed to be the playthings of royals, usurped the estates of their owners and bent the human race to their will. Now Ayla, a human servant rising in the ranks at the sovereign's house, dreams of avenging the death of her family by killing the sovereign's daughter, Lady Crier, who was made to be beautiful, flawless, and to succeed her father. Crier had been preparing to do just that. Before she was betrothed to South Kinnock, before she discovered her father isn't benevolent as she thought before she met Ayla. So it sounds a little bit of, enemies to lovers, some conflict, love triangle stuff. it sounds like everything, and oh yeah, so this is definitely in the section of sci-fi rather than fantasy, but it looks amazing, and it has got a second book. Again, the same as Children of Blood and Bone. I just haven't got to it because I've been so like, no, don't start any more series before you finish the ones that you've already started. But you know, I'm putting on my 25 to read in 2025 for that exact reason. I need to get it read. It's been on my shelf for a criminal amount of time, which is going to be a common theme throughout this video. I do warn you. So yes, we need to get to the bottom of this and read. And next, Blood Over Bright Haven by M.L. Wang. So this is a magical dark academia, I feel, and like I've heard that it deals a lot with the kind of like discrimination minorities face when in academia, which is a very big problem. And so it's a fantasy but dealing with some very real world issues, and it looks amazing. And I've heard so many things about it that it just like, so many people said that it's draws you in, but it frustrates you at the same time because you're like, how could they treat her like this, like the main character? So yeah, I'm really excited about this. So I feel like we have Xiaonya, and she wants to achieve like the highest honor you can in terms of magic, and she's studying magic, but they show her no respect, and she's just not given the same opportunities as far as I can tell from the synopsis, and I'm really excited to see what this is all about. And yeah, I'm excited. And plus, it has been on my shelf again. Another one that's been on my shelf for over a year. This is, when did I get it? I got it for my 21st birthday. So it would have been on my shelf since November last year, like November 2023. So again, criminal that I still haven't read this. And then this one is here because it's been a long time since I read the first book in the series, but if I don't read this year, I'm never going to, and I'm never going to complete the series. This is one of the series I've got left to finish, so this is probably going to be on my TBR. It's either going to be, if I have time left this month, I will read it, or it's definitely going to sneak its way into my TBR next month, just so then I can start, you know, getting onto the series that I've mentioned, that I've been putting off because I have series, you know, backlogged. So yeah, I'm really excited about this. It is This Wicked Fate, and this is a sequel to Poisoned Heart, by Kalynn Bayron, and she's the author of Dead Cinderella, which I read back in like 2020, and oh my god, I love that. And I read The Poisoned Heart at kind of the same time, but I have reread The Poisoned Heart since, and I feel like the statute of limitations for that being read and being able to just swiftly move on to the sequel is quickly running out, so I need to do it soon. Because I think I reread Poisoned Heart in like 2023 or 2022. So, you know, like I could even say that I'm gonna give The Poisoned Heart another reread, but you know, we'll see how I get on. So yeah, we're definitely gonna be reading this. It's about a girl, Bree, who comes into inheritance via her biological family. Her adoptive mothers go with her, and she discovers that she's got powers, and that the world that she's about to uncover is all sorts of messed up. Like, yeah, like, you know, typical YA stuff goes on in here. You know, like, again, as a teenager, this was my bread and butter. So we'll see how I get on with this. And then, lastly, Strange to Dreamer by Laini Taylor. Honestly, I've heard so many things that it's just one of those fantasies where it's hard to follow along, wrap your head around everything, and it's just trippy, and the synopsis sounds trippy. Like, we have Lazo Strange, who is obsessed with the mystical lost city of Weep, but it should take someone bolder than he to go in search of it. Then a stunning opportunity presents itself in the person of a hero called the Godslayer, and a band of legendary warriors, he has to seize his chance to lose his dream forever. What happened in Weep to cut it from the world? What did the Godslayer slay that went by the name of God? And what is the mysterious problem he now seeks help in solving? The answers await in Weep, but so do many more mysteries, including the blue-skinned goddess who visits Laszlo's dreams. Like, this looks incredibly, like, it's high fantasy. It's been on my shelf for years. I asked for it for Christmas in, like, 2019. So, again, I feel like that's maybe, like, 6 years now that it's been on my shelf. So, again, criminal that I haven't got to it. So, yeah. But that's all the sci-fi and fantasy on my list. So we are now on to this final and last section. So let's go and look at the non-fiction on my list. Okay, so this is the non-fiction. Again, it's the same as the historical and the fantasy, but those are just much thicker books. For some reason, the non-fiction are a lot thinner, but I promise you it's the same amount of books. They're just thinner. So the first one is a history of the classical world, the story of ancient Greece and Rome by Elizabeth Wise. So this is just a overarching kind of like historical chronological breakdown of like the most basic points of ancient Greek and Rome. So this is obviously going to be right on my alley. I'm going to be so interested in what this has to say. And yeah, I just feel like it's about high time that I read something like this. So yeah, I'm really excited. And then keeping on with the ancient history kind of like theme, but more of the philosophy side, I have The Republic by Pluto, which I really want to read. I'm so excited to read this. I have read very basic philosophy before, so this is going to be the first time I'm really delving into like proper like ancient Greek philosophy in particular. I'm so excited and I can't wait to read this. So cannot wait. And I have the Penguin Classics version translated by Christopher Rowe. And then we have Steve Brusette and The Rise and Fall of the Dinosaurs. This is basically just a breakdown of the chronological like lifespan of the time of dinosaurs while they were on Earth, and basically understanding which dinosaurs were alive at the same time, at the different time periods, and things like that, because you know, like, it so interests me, and I cannot wait to dive into this. I bought this at the Natural History Museum in London when I was in London for New Year's, and I have to read this at some point this year because there's just something that's just calling me about learning more about paleontology, and I have to. And then the next ones are my kind of like niche in history, hence why I'm like, okay, I need to read these. And it is medieval history. This one is Medieval Technology and Social Change by Lynn White Jr. And I feel like this is going to be really interesting. I just love everything medieval history. I am obsessed. So this is going to be about, you know, scientific, like the way that science worked in medieval times, the technology they had access to, and who had access to what, and kind of the way that social interactions and the way that the social hierarchy kind of worked in medieval times, but going into a lot more depth than I've probably ever before done. I can't wait. Like, this is definitely going to be on my TBR at some point, and that's exactly why it is on my 25 to read in 2025. Then we have one that I have just recently purchased from the charity shop that I volunteer at every weekend, and I had to buy it, and it is Elaine Power's Medieval Women, edited by M.M. Poston, and this is basically just a breakdown of the role of women in medieval society, and just the discussions on things like that. Like, oh, it looks so good. And plus, medieval women has, again, is a niche within a niche for me. Like, oh yeah. I love it. So of course, keeping with that theme, this is the book of Margery Kemp, sorry. And this is basically a breakdown of what Margery wrote down of her day-to-day life, her experiences, in terms of, like, I think she was very pious. She believed that she was having visions. She went through a lot. The people in her town gave her a really hard time. I believe she went on a lot of pilgrimages, and yeah, like, I just feel like this is going to be a really good one to read as well. Like, I'm so excited to read the Book of Margery Kemp. This was a birthday present this year, so again, not one that's been on my, like, it's been on my shelf for about a month and a half, so not like criminally long, but we'll see when I get to it. But again, it's on my 25 to read in 2025 because I'm just that desperate to get to it. So yeah, that is it. Those are the 25 books I need to get to in 2025. I hope I haven't bored you, and I hope that there has been something interesting in this video for you. I'm probably going to look back at this video. What I've done actually is that I don't need to necessarily look back at this video, but I've written out every single book in a list on my laptop, and every time I read one of these, I'm just going to put a little done or tick beside it on my laptop so that I know that I've read it, and then we can review together at the end of the year. So that's really exciting. So anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you are having a very amazing week, and I shall see you next week for my next video, which I'm currently filming. It is a vlog, so that's something to look forward to. I was going to do a waking up at 5 a.m. and so that I have more time to read kind of vlog, because I've seen those dotted about on BookTube. But honestly, term time doesn't start for another 2 weeks for me, and I thought I was going to be able to achieve it, but I have just been so, like, damn tired recently that it wasn't possible. So it's just a more chilled, laid back, just a week of reading kind of vlog. So that's something to look forward to next week. Anyway, I will see you then. Thank you for watching. Bye!